Welcome back to Before the Whistle, bringing you this week's college football breakdown.
The first game this week is Alabama at Vanderbilt. This game puts Vanderbilt at a very tough spot because they're gaining a lot of momentum, starting 3-0, coming off a win against Kansas State. But this is going to be a very demoralizing week as they're more than likely going to get beat by Alabama, and they also have Florida and Georgia coming up in the upcoming weeks.
Yeah, pretty tough stretch, but the good thing is they have two of these three games at home. Mm-hmm. And Kyle Shermer's looking pretty good, guys.
Yes, he is, but who's no-show? Ralph Webb. Where is he?
He's 58 carries, only 149 yards on the season.
That was their best player last year, and he's not showing up this year at all.
Yes, Vanderbilt started out 3-0. They're looking very sharp, but they have three really good SEC opponents coming up in these next few weeks.
Really good.
I wouldn't say
the last
really good
two are
besides
right.
this week.
Good for the
against
East.
Alabama. Yeah, good for the East. But I think that this game's going to be closer than people think. Vanderbilt, they're capable of putting up points. I mean, Kyle Shermer has 8 touchdowns in the
best
year.
QBR right now in the
Best
SEC.
QBR in the SEC.
In the nation.
In the nation.
Yes.
And let's take into the fact that Vanderbilt has all their receivers returning, running back, all their skilled players basically have returned this year.
That's key for teams like Vanderbilt and these smaller schools that are trying to excel in these bigger conferences. And I think this really helps Vanderbilt in this game in particular. But Alabama, they didn't really look so good last week against Colorado State. They gave up 23 points, which is not something that you would normally see out of the number one team in the country. And a lot of people were saying that maybe Clemson should be ranked over them or Oklahoma, but I don't really think that's the case. It's still Alabama, but I do think that Alabama's going to win this game. Alabama's just going to be Alabama, and I do think Vanderbilt will give them a tough time, but I've just got to take Alabama in this one.
Yeah, I got to agree with that. I think Alabama's going to win pretty heavily. I just don't think Vanderbilt has the strength in their lines to compete with Alabama.
This game, you got to look at it. Vandy's got to be coming in with a lot of confidence. Mm-hmm. They just beat Kansas State.
Well, Derek Mason has a lot of confidence.
Derek Mason says not scared of anybody, but
that's kind of going to go downhill this week because I'm sorry, but I just don't see Vandy beating Alabama. They're doing really good. I think they're going to have a great year in Vandy.
Decent year
for Vandy,
but for Vandy a good year.
Yeah,
for Vanderbilt to have
they don't have the depth or the talent to beat Alabama right now.
Yeah, for Vanderbilt to have a chance. Their front line has to block, and Ralph Webb has to be able to run the ball.
That's not going to happen.
Vanderbilt's offensive line is going to have to give them a push.
Because
because
the first 3 games, we've seen Kyle Shermer. He's been playing phenomenal, but Ralph Webb, he's really been nowhere. If
they want a remotely chance of winning this game, Ralph Webb has to step up.
I'm gonna go with the upset on this game, guys. I'm gonna go Vandy.
Oh,
okay,
goodness.
well,
I ought to slap you in the face for picking Vandy.
That's painful.
All right, well, that's completely wrong, but game 2 of the week, Georgia versus Mississippi State. Mississippi State last week proved that they can play with the big dogs. That's uprooting LSU 37-7.
Tigers.
The big Tigers.
Yeah,
the big dogs.
I think
big Tigers.
It was a big win for Mississippi State. Do I think they should be ranked 17th? No, I don't. I think they should maybe crack the top 25. I think 17 is too high for them.
Yeah, well, the curse of 17, right? It's easily Georgia's going to win the game. Anyone who is ranked 17th is not staying there.
But Nick Fitzgerald, he had a pretty good outing last week.
17 last 2 weeks.
He had 180 yards, 2 touchdowns. He played way better than I thought he would against LSU. A lot of people thought they played better. They won 37-7. You can't really complain about that.
Yeah.
And LSU cannot move the ball on offense at all, which is pretty scary if you're an SEC West team playing against the likes of Alabama and Texas A&M.
I feel like that game last week was more of a showing. It was like we learned that LSU's defense wasn't as good as we thought it was.
Yes.
We learned Mississippi State's offense was a lot better than we thought it was.
Yes.
So, I'm looking forward to see what Nick Fitzgerald can do against this Georgia defense.
Yeah, and Georgia has a powerful running back duo with Nick Chubb and Sonny Michel. But if you look at Mississippi State's defense last week, holding Darius Geis in check, then if they can play like that against these 2 running backs, then they're going to have a great chance to win.
That's true. And, normally you'd look at this, Georgia has their backup quarterback starting because of Jacob Eason's injury. But Jake Fromm isn't really that much of a backup. He was fighting for the starting position this offseason.
Yeah.
And they had just named Jacob Eason the starter. So he's not bad.
Yeah.
He's definitely a good quarterback.
I do think he's the liability of this game, though. Yes, he did have 3 touchdowns last week, but they didn't play that good of a team. This is a team that has proved to everybody now that they can play good SEC football. And I think if Jake Fromm can throw the ball well, he can read his routes, make smart decisions, and he has a line that blocks for him, I really do think Mississippi State can win this game.
Yeah, if Mississippi State wants to win this, if Georgia wants to win this game, they really have to stop Williams and Fitzgerald in the backfield, and I think they're going to do it. And I think they're going to come out with the close win.
I got to go with the upset this week. I don't think Georgia's going to be able to get it done against Mississippi State. They're coming off that impressive win against LSU. I think Nick Fitzgerald, he had a great game both in the air and on the ground. I think he has another big game that upsets Georgia.
I like Georgia in this game. Last week against LSU, Mississippi State's defense held Danny Etling, but I mean, this is a different quarterback we're talking about. We're not. This is a quarterback who can actually play quarterback.
Yeah.
And there's not just one running back with Darius Geis. You've got Sonny Michel and Nick Chubb, so I think it's just going to be a good 1-2 punch right there.
They can also understand their coach when he talks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm also
Right.
I'm gonna have to agree with Parker in this game. I think even though Mississippi State played well last week, I just think Georgia, they have a better backfield. I think they've got better talent with Ridley, and they've got Nick Chubb, and they've got Jake Fromm. I just think Sonny Michel, they have talent all over the offensive side, and I think their defense will be able to hold Mississippi State in check.
Don't forget Isaiah McKenzie.
Yes, Isaiah McKenzie. And I think one thing to look for in this game is, I guess you would say the bold prediction. I've got Nick Chubb rushing for at least 150 yards this game. I think he takes the.
Reasonable.
Is that bold, though?
I can see
I
that.
think
It's Nick Chubb.
but with Sonny Michel back there,
Breakout
they kind of split reps. I think Nick
Yeah.
Chubb takes.
He
the
had
brunt.
131 last week.
Well,
Yeah, that's a
yeah.
bold prediction.
That's not a bold prediction.
Well, but even though they split reps, I mean, I think Nick Chubb's getting the brunt of the reps this week, and I think that Georgia comes out with the win.
Yeah, I agree with that. And now time for the Before the Whistle game of the week. Number 16 TCU versus number 6 Oklahoma State. And I've been very, very impressed with Kenny Hill this year. He is, in my opinion, playing Heisman caliber football.
I've been more impressed with Mason Rudolph.
Mason Rudolph, way more impressive. Over 1,100 yards, 11 touchdowns this season, and only 1 interception.
I mean, let's take into account that Oklahoma State was up 49-0 at one point last week. In the first half, guys. This isn't end game. This is second quarter.
I don't disagree. Kenny Hill has had a fantastic year so far.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got 737 yards, 8 touchdowns, and only 2 interceptions. But, I mean, that's just about nothing compared to Mason Rudolph's year.
Yeah, I mean, I really think Mason Rudolph obviously having an outstanding year and definitely a Heisman caliber, but both of these quarterbacks can go back and forth, and they're going to be trading blows this entire game.
I tell you what I'm most excited about this game. Watching Mason Rudolph play an entire game instead of just one half.
Yeah.
Well, hey,
I think that
you never know.
I mean, Oklahoma State's they've really kind of come out of nowhere in these past 2 or 3 years, and I think especially with having Mason Rudolph in the backfield, they've really kind of sprung up, and they've got a leader back there who can make plays and he can throw the ball well. And I mean, as you can see, he's got almost 1,200 yards, and so I mean, TCU's a great team. They held Arkansas last week.
7.
Well, yeah. But I still think Oklahoma State's going to come, and I really do think they could just manhandle TCU. I don't think TCU really has a chance. I mean, I do think they have a chance. They're 16th in the nation, but I don't think compared to Oklahoma State, they're going to be able to keep up with them.
Yeah, one thing that's strange about these two teams is their defense.
Yes.
Oklahoma State is averaging or allowing 14 a game, TCU 17 a game. That's almost kind of absurd for these two teams. And then look at the offensive side of the ball. They're both being extremely productive. Oklahoma State 54 points a game, TCU 49 points a game.
Well, TCU did give up over 35 to SMU last week, so
Okay.
That's true. To me, when you've got 2 great quarterbacks, you kind of tend to look at the rushing game. And both of these teams, their top running backs are nearly identical. They both have a little bit over 250 yards and 3 touchdowns. So neither running back for neither team is doing incredible so far this year.
Yeah, Justice Hill really turned it on last week against Pitt, though. I really liked what I saw from him last week.
Well, I mean, if you look, these running backs really haven't done much, but I mean, they're being overshadowed by their quarterbacks. Their quarterbacks are playing phenomenal, so you can't really say much. But I'm going to take Oklahoma State in this game by, I would say, probably 14 to 17 points. I think that TCU, they'll keep it close until halftime, and then Mason Rudolph's he's actually going to play the second half, and he's going to actually throw the ball and score.
I'm going to go bold prediction this game, and I'm going to say Mason Rudolph plays 3 quarters. And
It's bold enough.
yeah, and I can't go against Mike Gundy. I mean, who can pick against that mullet?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree. I'm also gonna pick Oklahoma State. They're just better. They have better playmakers. They have a better offense. They have a better defense. Oklahoma State's an easy pick for me, but I would not be surprised at all if TCU stuck with them the entire game and held it close.
Yeah, I'm not sleeping on TCU, but just like Matt said, Oklahoma State's just better. Mason Rudolph versus Kenny Hill, he's got better numbers everywhere. And both of these quarterbacks are spreading the ball around a lot. They're not just, mainly targeting one receiver. But Mason Rudolph is going to get this done. He's going to win it in the third quarter.
Definitely.
All right, yeah, and now time for our bold predictions for these three games. My bold prediction is Vandy versus Alabama. I believe that Alabama will hold Ralph Webb to under 50 yards.
Well,
Ooh.
I think my bold prediction.
Total or rushing?
Total.
Oh, that's
Oh, wow, that is bold.
That is bold.
my bold prediction
That
is
is
going
a
to be coming.
fact.
It's
That's
coming
capital
from the
bold.
same game, Vanderbilt versus Alabama. I think Kyle Shermer, he throws for against Alabama, I think he throws over 250 yards. I think this is the day where he can really excel. And Alabama's secondary is kind of iffy right now.
Yeah, I mean, they still have Minka
But they
Fitzpatrick.
still have Minka Fitzpatrick. You can't forget about him. But 250 to 300 yards, I think Kyle Shermer can do it.
I'm gonna go bold prediction in the. I'm gonna go TCU Oklahoma State. I'm gonna say Justice Hill rushes for over 150 against TCU.
That's pretty bold, only 250 on the year. My bold prediction comes with Mississippi State and Georgia. I think Nick Fitzgerald has 200 yards passing and 100 yards rushing. He gets it done against
He's going
Georgia.
with the dual threat.
All right, now time for the upset of the week segment, and I'm just curious to see what you guys have for this.
Well, a lot of people are questioning the Florida State Seminoles at this point, and they just lost DeAndre Francois, and they didn't really look good against Alabama in the second half, and I really like the likes of Ryan Finley from NC State. I really think that they're going to come in this game. They're predicted to lose by a lot, and I think that they're going to be able to come in this game and get the upset. You heard it here first. North Carolina State is going to take the dub over Florida State.
Ooh.
I'm gonna stay in the Florida territory and pick Florida versus Kentucky as my upset. I think Kentucky's gonna beat Florida. Florida, in my opinion, I'm not a believer in them this year. I haven't been impressed at all. They haven't impressed me a single game,
No.
and they
Last
squeaked
week,
by
yeah.
a bad Tennessee team, and I just don't see them winning against Kentucky. Not saying Kentucky's even a good team or anything.
I think that's a good pick for an upset of the week.
Yeah.
Mine comes with Mississippi State versus Georgia again. I don't see it in Georgia this year. I know a lot of people believe in them, have them ranked 17th. But what I saw last week with Mississippi State, that was killer mentality. And I think Nick Fitzgerald has that, and he's going to bring it this week.
I don't really see that as an upset, but we're good to go.
And that's the number 11 team versus number 17.
My
So.
upset is going to be Michigan going to Purdue. Purdue started out hot this year, and Michigan didn't really look that good against Air Force at home the other day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, watch out for that. Let's see if Michigan's offense can get
And
it
they
going
beat
against Purdue.
a bad Florida team.
Yeah, because I don't really credit.
And that was
them
a
with
close
that.
game.
I don't really credit them with that Florida win. That's really not a win.
Yeah,
Like
so
a
that's
tie.
gonna wrap it
Second
up.
time.
That's gonna wrap it up. This has been week 4 of Before the Whistle.